But
All right, hey everybody, welcome to Fountain Camping. This is a Campfire. This is one of our gaming talk shows. We're going to be talking to you live about many things that are dealing with collegiate esports in America right now. Joining me today is going to be myself, Malic3. I've got Tiffany RoyalAmes as my co-host, and I'm joined today by Chris, WorstMeCaniks, Valerie Wong, Kevin Huang, and Brian iShiny McCarthy. How y'all doing today?
I'm doing
Fantastic.
Not everybody at the same time. All right, so I brought you all here today because you're all interested and or like already involved in collegiate esports, and that's something that's growing in America very quickly. And I feel like it's something a lot of people aren't actually talking about. And I'm giving you guys a forum today to speak and speak your piece about exactly what's going on in the world of collegiate esports, like be it League of Legends, Hearthstone, Dota 2, or Counter-Strike Go. Let me just ask you guys, who are you in the first place? I'm going to start with Chris Canick. Who are you, man?
Why do I have to start? I am Chris WorstMeCaniks, as you already introduced me. I am the president-elect, in quotes, of Longhorn Gaming, which is UT's chapter of Tespa, which I will let Valerie elaborate a little bit more on, but basically I am the head person in charge of all things collegiate gaming at the University of Texas. That's about it, I think.
That's pretty cool. Do you enjoy your job, man?
I mean, job is a loose word. I wish I was paid for that. But
hobby. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
Hobby.
All right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm going to jump over Valerie. I'm going to go to Kevin Huang. Is that how you say your last name, man?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, cool. Kevin Huang, what would you say you do exactly?
I do anything and anywhere with collegiate esports at University of Washington. I'm a vice president of Washington Esports, and I've also helped founded Washington Gamers Association, a more general gaming, all-encompassing brand on campus.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Like, is your day-to-day like rather like full of esports, or do you say that you kind of have spurts of it every few months?
It's full of esports. Today, like for example, I was at Africa today. I was checking out UC Irvine as well today. Just been everywhere, just meeting a bunch of cool people. Actually, I see like Valerie like every other week for some reason, even though like we're across the whatever, like 2 hours apart. But man,
yeah, like we literally met at Heroes of the Dorm, and literally I've seen Kevin like 4 times, like outside of Heroes of the Dorm. I'm like, dude, are you following me back to California? It's crazy.
He practically lives there. Don't you live in California, Kevin?
yeah, well, my girlfriend's from here, and I visit her like every other month. Now it's like it's even more frequent, and I'm bothering everyone in her family.
I know the feeling, man. All right, Valerie, what's your turn? Brian, what's going on, man? What did you say you do exactly?
So I'm actually the president and founder of Washington Esports, and one of the co-founders of the Washington Gaming Association. And I competed on the University of Washington League of Legends and Heroes of the Storm teams for the last 2 years.
All right, hell yeah, man. How'd y'all do this season anyway?
In League of Legends, we finished 3rd/4th in West Region, which in collegiate league sense is 3rd/4th in the nation.
Whoa.
Damn.
Damn. We'll come back to that.
Wow.
We'll come back to that. I mean, this is why I brought y'all here in the first place. Let's do it.
And then for Heroes of the Storm, we got knocked out in the round of 8, unfortunately, again.
All right, so smiling. Yeah. All right, and last but not least, by no means, Valerie Wong. What do you do? Who are you?
So basically I work for Tespa. I was a outreach director at the University of Texas at Austin a while back now, but I was a contractor for Tespa for a while, and now I actually work at Tespa full time. So basically I'm the person in Tespa that you go to for like guidance on how to start up your chapter, how to continue growing your chapter, and making sure you guys get support throughout the school year. And that's my full-time job. And then just go across the country and talk to Tespa leaders. It's pretty fucking awesome. Oh, sorry about the F word. Oops.
No, fuck it.
That is
Go ahead.
acceptable.
Who cares? All right, so everybody, you are all like either very knowledgeable in your field, or like one of the most knowledgeable experts in your field, I guess. And I mean, I think collegiate esports as a whole is a field that like you kind of have to know what the hell you're talking about. You can't just shoot the shit and act like you know what you're doing. All right, so one of the things I wanted to bring up was collegiate esports, as we know, is probably one of the only industries that a lot of people aren't actually waking up to as quickly as we'd expect it to. Do you think that that's true, or do you think that we're all like? Do you think that Americans can really get into it and it can explode in the next few years? What do you think about that? I'm going to start with Chris. What do you want?
What, me again?
Well, I mean, I'm like you're on my left. Sorry, I go left to right. Damn it.
Let's like start with different people.
I mean, we can have let's have a roundtable discussion. Let's just discuss this subject that's going on. I don't want to like ping people. Let's have a discussion.
Whoever wants to talk. That's how
All right,
this goes.
it's popcorn style. I guess.
Yeah.
I think this year especially, I've only been involved in it for this year after getting to know Brian and the rest of the Washington esports squad. After that, I've just been like converted, like full, just like all hands on deck for Washington esports and collegiate esports in general. I think with the movement, with what Tespa is doing, with the movement with ESPN and the Big Ten network that Riot is announcing, I think we're going to see a lot more competition. I'm also like very happy to see CSL having a booth at DreamHack. I don't think that's ever been done before, where a collegiate tournament is mixed with a professional tournament. I'm just here to cruise along and just do what it takes to get Washington esports growing and have a solidified brand.
All right. So so question: are you going to be stuck with Washington esports, or do you expect to like start jumping around to the different? Would you like to start spreading your wings and dealing with other collegiate esports organizations?
Yeah, I want to do collegiate esports for organizations if it was offered to me as a job. I think that'd be like a dream job, because that's basically what I've been doing with Brian for the last like 6 months and going to almost a year now. So yeah, I mean, the industry is evolving, and I think a lot of more opportunities will come out. And as soon as it comes out, we'll pass it along between like me, Brian, and if like the University of Washington wants to like start developing a UCI version of the arena, then I mean, all these opportunities come up for the younger generation.
All right. So I'm guessing everybody's like UW and UT are both under Tespa's umbrella right now.
So.
Go for it.
I guess I'll answer that one. So technically, UW, we do have a Tespa chapter there, and UT Austin was actually our first chapter. That's where we were born out of. That's where we first spawned by our founders, Adam and Tyler Rosen. But as far as like, I think the complicated situation here is at a lot of universities, you have multiple clubs. So you'll have a Hearthstone club, you'll have a League of Legends club, you'll have a StarCraft club. And usually they're not under one umbrella. It's really rare that someone takes up the torch and says, oh, we're going to gather all of you guys and make one huge gaming agnostic club where everyone is welcomed. At UW, that's kind of the situation there, where there's a Hearthstone club, there's a more casual gaming club, and there's Washington eSports, and there's probably like 5 other clubs Kevin knows about that I don't. So to answer your question, yes, there is a chapter of both UT Austin and Washington.
All right, so okay, actually, one of the questions I would like to ask is, so when these things go on, when UW versus who's Tespa rooting for?
Sorry, the middle of your question cut out.
Yeah, your question did cut out a little bit.
Oh, I said okay. So I said when UT versus UW in League of Legends during like the LCS split or something like that, who's Tespa rooting for?
Okay.
Tesla's rooting for the best matches.
Oh my god!
See, you shouldn't have asked her. You shouldn't have asked her who
Me
Tespa is
personally?
rooting for. You should have asked her who she's rooting for.
Okay, Valerie,
There
who
you
are you rooting for?
I'm always rooting for UT, but guys,
That's what
come
you
on,
wanted to
get
hear.
it together. Get it together.
Whoa,
Come on, McCarthy.
come on. We also
God.
believe
How
savage.
in our region.
Shots.
All right, so Canix,
Okay.
you're in charge of UT's Tespa organization and whatnot like that. What do you think UT can do, or what do you think Tespa can do? Like, what do you want the growth to happen? Do you want more people? Do you want more games? Do you want intercollegiate play more often? What's your wish list?
My wish list is yes to all of those. So a little bit of background. We have kind of a different situation than UWash does. All of our games are under one banner, which is very convenient in some ways because we don't have to incorporate working together with many different clubs. But it can also be very inconvenient in that it's hard to provide things that appeal to everyone in the club. So, we can do all sorts of content for League of Legends in the big games, but then we still leave out a lot of other people, or if we not pander, if we appeal to, more casual gamers or console gamers or something, then we leave out the competitive side of things. So, it's challenging, and I guess the biggest thing on my wish list, to get back to the question, is finding the right balance between those two things as a local chapter. But as far as, getting more members, more games, all those things, yes, because growing is awesome, and I like seeing esports and gaming happen, which is why I do this in the first place.
Well, so you do actually bring up an interesting point that I wanted to bring up as well, which is like in collegiate esports, there's always this balance between having a community and having the competitive side, and those don't always overlap because there are casual gamers. And so how do you think like those two end up playing against each other, and how do you think that you can help balance that community aspect and the competitive aspect in one organization? Go for it.
Go for it.
So it's actually one of the major concern with one of the clubs on campus. They're called Husky Gamer Nations. They're the more casual, generic club. They don't have a competitive edge to their entire brand. But at the same time, I think we play off each other. I think it works like a two-way street. If we're able to establish a one unified gaming association like UT, like UCI, like UW, like UBC, you're gonna bring in all kinds of gamers. It's not it's not going to be where someone like me or Brian that plays League or HOTS walks across Red Square, which is on campus, and see a Hearthstone table, but we don't play Hearthstone, so we were going to look the other way. It's not like that anymore. Instead, we have a Washington Gaming Association table, and at that point, you're like, if you play Clash of Clans, if you play Clash Royale, if you play Vainglory to like Hearthstone to Dark Souls 3, whatever, you're gonna check the box as a gamer. Like internally, you're a gamer, and that the banner and everything speaks to that. And doing this, you create this big net when you're opening your arms to all kinds of people, and that way you're gonna be able to find the best players. In return, comes towards the Washington esports, where we know how to build talent, and we know how to build a winning team. And with that, we want them to play the best they could be for the next few years and make a name for themselves in collegiate esports. In return, build a brand for University of Washington to be respected amongst nationwide. So that's why I think it's a two-way street, because we depend on each other.
I totally agree, because while you do have competitive players that'll stick to one game and play only that game, the majority of gamers are not that way. And honestly, when you have both a casual and competitive side, there are so many benefits, because when you have things like DreamHack Austin that happen, where they're asking for volunteers, where they're asking for help, yeah, you have a person that could actually be a referee, that most competitive person, right? But you definitely learn from each other. Do you kind of understand what I'm saying? Where it's like, yeah, there is a really competitive side to people, but I wouldn't say that's the majority of people. Most people dabble into this game. Something's out on Steam, everyone's playing it, and I think it's kind of narrow-sided to focus on any one game or franchise. Or yeah, that's how I feel about that.
I guess just to add on that, in regards to our organization, as Kevin was talking about, it's really supplemental, and you don't really get overshadowed by the competitive scene and what we're trying to create, because we only have one or two people within WGA that are representing Washington esports. And the rest of the board, which consists of 7 to 9 people, we consisted of people that were the presidents of the casual aspect of all of these clubs. So we have people in charge of running all of these casual events and making sure that everyone in the community has an outlet to express themselves and be part of their niche community. While the competitive aspect, we have our own branding team, and we'll make like our own videos and get our own stuff sold, and hype up our own games. just so that we aren't really creeping in on everyone else's experience on campus.
I'd like to say that is an amazing idea, and kudos to the UW guys. UT, gotta catch it up, man. But okay, on another.
Wow.
I can't just help UT. I can't just be on their side. One of the things I do want to bring up is something that is near and dear to my heart, is the advancement opportunities that are beginning to pop up for collegiate students. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask iShiny, Kevin, and Chris is, how would you all feel about the possibility of beginning, farm teams? So we have large professional organizations like CLG, TSM, and whatnot like that. And I feel like aligning schools such as UW, UT, Miami University, places like that, aligning them with let's say a goal of where these players can go, like the UT League of Legends teams players they have like a very good chance of going to CLG when they graduate. What do you think about like the possibility of advancement within this esports realm now?
So I think with the challenge, I'm going to speak only to League of Legends because I'm going to criticize the Challenger Series, because I think eventually Collegiate Esports will take over the Challenger Series, because the Challenger Series itself is too much of a risk. To be able to compete in Challenger Series, you need to be top 10 ranked, but if you're not there, you can also buy a spot in the top 10. That bid is $300,000 already, and that's a significant amount of risk just to take a chance to even play in the promotional tournament, which you need to win 2 out of 2 best of 5s. So that's, if you don't win, then you're down 300K, and like that's just the bid to have that spot. You're not talking about staffing, building the infrastructure, and putting the man hours to even like build a winning team. You can put 5 players together, but if they don't know how to win, then that's not going to work, and then you're just going to lose everything. And then to play and to secure a spot in LCS, I think it starts at 1 million. To do some to even have an LCS spot. Again, it's all these risks that I think Collegiate can take off these. I'm sorry, to alleviate these risks, because you have these 18-year-old challenger players, like when Brian was when he was 18 years old, he was like a Rumble challenger top laner. He was trying out for the Copenhagen Wolves back when he was 18, but he had decided to go to college and do these things. But eventually, what I think is Collegiate Esports will build the infrastructure eventually with UCI, with UW, with UT, with UBC, everyone building their own support staff. It doesn't even have to be the school backing it yet. The fact that these schools and their student body are taking initiative to make sure their teams and their university is winning, that's already a very strong progression, because these are all student-based like activities. Eventually, hopefully, the universities will recognize it and build on top of that as well. But after playing in ULaw, after playing in all these events and series, the students, these 18-year-old challenger players, will have 4 years of teamwork, competitive play, being able to play on stage and be able to play with the team rather than just climbing solo queue ladder, because that's a whole different, like, I know Brian can talk about like the solo queue ladder and how hard it was to even find a team if you don't know your network. So I'm going to stop there, because I think we can build more conversations before I add more stuff.
All right, anybody else have anything to add on this?
Yeah, absolutely. In regards to only League, a huge issue is the skill gap and the amount of time it takes to get to each level within the League of Legends scene, which is why I think the transition from dropping Challenger Series and having players be supplemental through the collegiate scene will be a pretty difficult step. Like UBC and SFU are both top tier collegiate teams, and it's hard to say that they would contend pro teams. I think they could definitely contend Challenger Series teams, but to make that extra jump into the pro scene would be very difficult. I think that similar to Heroes of the Storm, it'll be just talent will be seen in the collegiate scene if they decide to broadcast it a lot more, and professional teams might see the talent and be like, oh, hey, maybe we should give that person a shot. Heroes of the Storm worked out really well in regards to the fact that the scene is still pretty relatively new, so there isn't a semi-professional scene built, and to be in the pro scene, you have to consistently qualify. So teams are constantly being remade, and you're just relapsing through players and trying new people out. So, like for example, with our Heroes of the Dorm team, we had 4 people get recruited to pro teams right after the tournament ended. Of course, not everyone pursued them, and of course, not all of these pro teams qualified due to roster changes. But it's definitely a stepping stone.
All right. Chris, you have anything to add to that?
Mostly just kind of reaffirm what they've been saying. I don't know if the day is upon us or even in the immediate future of collegiate teams actually contending against professional teams, with maybe a couple more exceptions in like Heroes of the Storm, like maybe UBC can take
what do you
some
mean?
sets.
You mean like schools not contending with professional teams?
Yeah, like
Oh yeah, no, it's not going to happen for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the individual players on some of these collegiate teams are absolutely at that level because, as they were saying, there are players who get recruited straight off collegiate teams onto pro teams all the time. UW, UBC, UT has all sorts of examples of that across several games. But I would go so far to say so far as to say that that process could probably do with a little bit of streamlining in some way or other. Like as of right now, I don't think there's an easy way to not make that happen, but to kind of help these teams find these players and help the players find the teams respectively. Obviously, there's all sorts of publicity for these tournaments in collegiate level that the pro teams can find if they want to. It's not that they can't find the talent, but I don't know. I kind of like the phrase you throw there, like a farm team or something like that. I don't know. I don't really know where I was going with that, honestly.
Well, there's
All
this,
right, no, you're fine.
Yeah, there's this conversation I've been sort of having in chat while this has been happening that I like to bring up as well. Is something that I've been interested in is seeing how collegiate esports could become like a platform for pros in the future, and what you think about that. Because we've been having this argument in chat, and I've kind of been saying like what I think it could become is like a bigger place to be scouted, basically.
Yeah,
but I want to see what you guys think about collegiate esports and just like maybe not even the teams in general, but just like even being a platform for players to be. And do you guys have any thoughts about that?
I mean, speaking from a player's perspective, being competitive in these collegiate leagues is relatively difficult on top of school load. And I honestly can't even imagine, in League of Legends in particular, being able to keep up with all of my schoolwork and practice enough to actually be able to play on a professional team. It's just, in my opinion, absolutely unreasonable. But I think that it should be an environment where pro teams should at least be looking at players, because there is a lot of potential. There's a ton of potential in really strong players. They just can't put in 16 hours a day.
Yeah, to add on to that, as a TSM analyst, so I know their workflow. They work 15 to 16 hours a day doing scrims, watching videos, and just talking about the game consistently. I think as soon as someone graduates at the age of 21-ish, they can probably get hired to fill a roster. I can see that happening. I'm pretty optimistic because I know, like, for example, not just North America, but in Europe, they pay for your college up until you're 27 to pursue whatever goals you have. For example, esports, it creates like these financial security because in Europe, it's more stable that way. Where if you don't make it as pro, you just go back to college. So maybe in Europe they're doing like all better, have a collegiate esports scene that we don't know about. But in terms of this was random. It just came up to me because I was talking to some other people and how they were telling me that Europe had a better way to get into pro scene. It might even just be that, taking a quarter off to play a split or something. I mean, we can always trade back and forth and sacrifice a little bit of your schoolwork. 'Cause I know, I think Glebe, he got into, there's Glebe and like what's his name, Voyboy, they all went to college at some point, and they all were able to come back to college to whenever they're done with their career. I mean, I don't really think it's going to be streamlined just yet. I think I'm really optimistic because I've met so many talented players in the HOTS and the league scene so far, and I think Hearthstone is also like a really good outlet because Hearthstone doesn't need that 20-hour practice a day. It requires just a lot of strategy and a decent amount of practice because it's not a team game. So you don't have to schedule around other people's schedule. You can practice on your own and have your own analysts and I'm not even sure if you need coaches for Hearthstone, but I mean, you can have analysts watching you, help you make decisions. It's a little bit more fluid. For StarCraft, it's if you're good, you're good. You don't have to work or be able to work with players. Yeah, if you play, if you play.
Wait! It's Val a StarCraft fan?
Yeah,
No.
that's what I started. And
If you're a grandmaster.
This is the same thing with Stefano. He said he never practiced. He freaking practiced. And I think honestly, when you're balancing that workload, your school workload, and you're playing competitively at the same time, that says something, right? Yes, you can do the 16-hour practice, and you can't go to scrims every single time, but the fact there's a certain amount of hours, whatever that set amount of hours you can dedicate to competitive gaming, right? And if you're able to rise to a certain level that is just maybe not pro, but pretty close to pro, while handling a full school load, no matter what that school load may be, I think there's a certain level you can reach, even if you can't make the 16-hour days of practicing.
All right.
So I think that's what I'm just trying to say here. And also, StarCraft requires practice.
StarCraft does require a lot of practice.
What I meant is that they don't have to coordinate with the team schedule and work and go through roster changes. But with StarCraft, you play in these open qualifiers and you practice 10 hours a day, or practice 8 hours a day. And you're a grandmaster, top tier player. You qualify, you become pro. There's different ways to become pro within each game. And I think we need to break it down by the game, because me talking about the League Challenger Series, that's a whole different topic in itself that we have to probably talk about some other time. And then with Brian being a HOTS player, getting tried out by all these other teams, because HOTS doesn't have the LCS that it doesn't have LCS yet, or a Challenger Series yet. They're just open qualifiers right now. So it's a different infrastructure for each game.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the game, for sure. Yeah, I was just gonna say, it does depend on the game. We kind of shoehorned a little bit into League because I'm guessing a lot of people here are League players, and it's
I'm a
not
Dota
the
player,
same.
so I don't understand this.
So me and Lee are Dota players, but it's kind of a similar idea where it's you have to practice a lot to be pro, but other games are not like that. So.
I mean, Hearthstone, you literally build a deck and you don't really have to practice 18 hours that day. You just kind of. But I mean, okay. So one of the things I wanted to bring up was Collegiate eSports. It's new. Everybody's kind of looking at it what the hell do we do with this thing? Because it's kind of strange. What kind of challenges did you have getting into this scene and whatnot? Also, HOTS. Oh my God, Brian! I thought you played good games. Sorry.
You need to quit that shit. First of all, some of us just don't like the last hit, okay? And some of us have things to do in the day, okay?
I've tried playing HOTS so many times.
Some of us don't like to look at 5 minions a day and wonder, should I hit now? And some of us actually.
It's not even a question.
Okay?
What do you even do in that game then?
I know in HOTS. Oh no, guys, we have to go get shot. There's no items. What do you mean there's no items?
I don't want to have to look at your runes. I don't want to look at your.
It's like Hello Kitty Island Adventure, the MOBA. Oh my god!
Shit.
Well, I'm sorry, you're a bad HOTS player. Maybe one day you'll get there, and maybe you'll think about objectives one day. Okay.
I've played 10 matches, and I think I've lost one. It's too easy, and I just can't do it.
Anyways,
First of the eye doesn't count.
Moving back to Collegiate eSports, guys.
I love doing this. This is great. All right, yeah. Okay, so the question was, what kind of challenges did you have getting into the scene, other than Valerie saying that HOTS is a good game?
Dealing with toxic League players.
No. He's a Dota player.
I'm a Dota player.
Oh, wow.
I'm a positive person. I'm just hey guys, we could totally
Dota
do this.
people are the most saltiest people.
Yo.
I'm salty AF. Okay, sorry. Alright, so challenges getting into the collegiate esports scene. Go.
I think it's just really
competitive or otherwise. So even just building your communities in your respective colleges.
I think one thing about esports is you'll always find someone that's willing to do your job for free. It's the amount of competition that that's around just for any job, any internship, any volunteer positions. Like, yeah, you definitely have to build your expertise and get some experience under your belt to actually get a job to make this your career, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I would have to say about that. That's the most important part is like breaking out in esports or gaming.
In regards to putting a team together, especially in University of Washington's case, where we currently, or like up until now, have been a really relatively split organization, like all our gaming orgs have been in different clubs. So a huge challenge that we face when putting the teams together is making sure we're actually reaching all of the players and like getting the best, most competitive teams that we can pull off. For example, last year for the league team, it's really scary to think about our branding and our recruiting techniques when 3/4 of the way through the season is when we discover that we have a challenger 700 LP 80 carry player just chilling in a dorm playing by himself. That's like when you're running an esports org, you're like, why did I not know about this? Like, well, we need this.
Freaking Corey.
Does he play with you guys now?
He played this season. He doesn't plan on playing next season.
Oh, that sucks. All right, so Chris. Oh, Kevin or Chris? Sorry about that.
Go ahead, Chris.
Probably the biggest obstacle I have found, like actually getting into it, as opposed to just like spectating or witnessing the scene, is just finding ways to get your toes in the water, get your foot in the door, whatever metaphor you want to use. Obviously, you can go out there and try to make your own things happen. Make some content or throw some groups or tournaments or something together, make a team with your friends. But to really like get the next step beyond that is probably one of the hardest parts in my experience, at least. Finding volunteer opportunities, finding contracting work to do. There's not necessarily a shortage of it, but there's absolutely a lot of people trying to do exactly that right now. So finding ways to differentiate yourself, finding ways to make yourself look like the best candidate for these opportunities, if you're not making them yourself, if you're looking to get on with other companies or organizations, that's very difficult.
All right. It's interesting. I mean, like this is really new to me because I wasn't in collegiate esports when I was in college. I was kind of like, I don't care about this stuff. But Tiffany, like, have you ever wanted to get involved in collegiate esports at all? Like, other than going to the UT Tespa meetings?
I mean, yeah, I just oh, I heard an echo. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, like I'm starting to get more involved now, but I mean, it's difficult, especially when like not gonna lie, Dota's not that big of a game. So as like League, where like they have, I mean, League has more organization, detrimental or not, but like it's more difficult when you're needing to see like, hey, all you Dota players hiding in your dorm rooms, please come out and play with us. Like other people have said, that's a really difficult task. It's just getting those people to come out and come, talk to people and talk to other players, and just organizing it and getting those people out is the biggest challenge, I think, as well.
I can agree with that wholeheartedly. Sorry.
Getting people together on the table, talking about a unified organization, and making sure everyone's needs and wants are met. That was my biggest challenge forming WGA, was making sure everyone feels equally represented, and making sure the esports, because I coming from the esports world, they're making sure like, oh, we don't want it to be too focused on esports, but no, we have all these other channels that you guys can grow, because we're casting this big net where like if you're a gamer, you can come. We're welcoming all kinds of gamers, similar to Tespa's model of like, hey, if you're a gamer, come join Tespa. We'll find a place for you. From viewing parties to like pickup games to finding new friends to even like just getting free stuff and just taking pictures with your friends when you go to the lands, like, or even playing the collegiate team. There's a space for you no matter what. Secondly, with career wise, this was very interesting to me because I didn't know I could work into esports within like, well, I didn't know I could work in esports until like probably this year. I was working for Microsoft for the last 3 years, and I guess that was what helped me jumpstart my esports career because I was able to go in front and tell people that I've had all this experience. I can do these things. I've been stretched to a high capacity at Microsoft because I worked at Microsoft Finance and Microsoft Education, and they pretty crazy over there. Like people, so working till like 11 p.m., 12 a.m. at the office. So you got to know how to do just that with esports because I think a lot of it being free right now, being free labor, free work, you're gonna have to really love it. I mean, I got an opportunity to hear Kim Fan, the senior esports manager at Blizzard. She talked about how she ran a community website for Warcraft 3 for 10 years or something crazy, getting a bunch of 50 writers to write about Warcraft 3, from like Monte Crisco to Freak. All these guys, they all put in the hours to make that community thrive. And I think a lot of people now, when they reach out to me, they're asking me, how do I become a TSM analyst? Like, what do I need to do? I play a lot of League of Legends. I love League of Legends. I love TSM. But like, yeah, I mean, that's number one, right? To love the game and to be able to show your love for the team. But what other skills do you have? How do you demonstrate your skills? So a lot of it comes from outside of just gaming, because that's where professional development and all the other things in life come in. You know, it all helps you in some way or form. It helps mold your identity if you want to go into esports. Because I mean, like, I told Brian, like, hey, if like Microsoft wants, if you want to work for Microsoft or intern for Microsoft, do it, because you're gonna learn something. And I think that is for any company, actually, any startup, any like thriving company or whatever that sounds amazing. That's not esports. You know, take that first and then come in to esports. You know, you don't have to do esports now, because if you don't feel ready, because again, a lot of it is free work, and if you need to find a paid internship right now to live and to make ends meet or whatever, you know, and pay your college tuition back, do those things first. You know, other than that, you're gonna be left behind if you're not, because if you can't do esports for free right now, because most of it will be for free, or if you can find an internship first and then do esports at the same time, you just need to find a balance. That's my best tip, because after
I
working with so
completely
many people.
agree with what you said, because yeah, you're working for Microsoft and it's not directly related to esports, but so many of the skills that you need in esports are so transferable. I mean, look, I mean, there was a long time where I was a contractor for Tespa, and I just like needed a job, right? Like contracting was great, but I wanted to do more. Like I just had free time, so actually for a bit of time, I actually worked as a wedding coordinator. And just because I love doing events, I love the thrill and the rush, and it's directly transferable. So I say, like, if you can't work for free, that's totally fine, but don't ever be stalling. Always have something, because you always have this empty months. And I'm gonna be, if I'm looking at your resume and I see a gap of more than like 3 months, maybe for summer, or maybe if you're like going abroad, I'm gonna wonder what were you doing in that time, because I don't like people that stall. And esports is the kind of industry where you work very hard and you play very hard, but there's none of this dilly-dallying around, right? Like, you will find work, and you need to be the type of person that will go find work if you don't have work to do.
As a person that's working in esports, I agree with both of you, because I feel like a lot of the people that are asking me about my job and what I'm doing and how I got to the places that I've been to, I think it's really interesting, because esports is literally the biggest startup company in the world, because it's an entire industry that has no footing, it has no real, like, there's no for sure future. Nobody knows where it's going, and it's kind of just like, it's the wild west of tech, the way tech used to be like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Yeah.
definitely still being
Yeah.
shaped. And I know,
yeah.
like, even a couple of years ago, people were like, oh yeah, esports is the next big thing, the next big thing. And that we've been saying that for like 3 or 4 years now, right? So it's still like, I still believe it to be the next big thing, but and I'm not saying it hasn't exploded. It hasn't gone crazy. I mean, the fact that Here's the Door was on ESPN for a second time is no small feat. But yeah, people keep saying like, "Oh, when is esports gonna happen? When is esports gonna happen?" And there's someone I really like to quote, and that's like Jerry Lewin. He works at shoot, I totally forget the company right now.
ESL.
Yeah, ESL. Sorry. And he's always quoting D9. That's like, oh, esports happen when you make it all happen. Go do esports, right? You make esports happen. So I don't actually, when people say like, when is esports happening? I just kind of like roll my eyes now because it's like, it's, what are we doing now?
It's happening
It's
already.
happening now. But yeah, I want to just jump in because I have that. Oh, the last one. But I have the same thing where I think a lot of people involved in esports, right, while also being in college, face this issue too of like, well, you know, you really like esports and you really enjoy it, but there's also this like, it's still building and it's still growing, and you don't know what you're gonna do, and you have to do a lot of free work. And I think that it is important to be. Oh, what just happened to all these cameras?
Kevin!
We got it.
All right. You got
Skype
it.
sucks.
It's all right.
Skype does suck.
But yeah,
That's
like esports is growing now, and you have to be involved and get into it now if you really want to be a part of it in the future, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely we're pioneers right now, and you got to find your own place in it, and you just can't get stagnant. It's what I've learned. It's the biggest lesson I've learned working with Kevin and establishing WGA is there's never something that you can't be doing, like at all times.
Yeah.
For example, with Overwatch coming out, we're like, holy crap, this might be big. Let's get the structure established right now. Put like the groups together. We're like, hey, all Overwatch players join this group. If you have it pre-purchased, if you're thinking about pre-purchasing it, if you like the art, join this group. Like, let's make this community right now, and let's have it ready for when the game releases.
That's a lot. I like that. That's really wow. It's forward thinking of you. Wow. I'm have to. What's your major, dude? I'm tired. No, I mean the beautiful thing about esports as it is, nobody knows what the next big thing is going to be. Nobody knows where the next big hit's going to be. It could be Overwatch. It could be Battleborn for some freaking reason. Who knows? I mean, it's not going to be Battleborn, but I mean, it could be anything.
It's definitely not going to be gigantic.
It's not gigantic. Yeah.
You have to install. You have to install Windows 10.
Windows 10. You have to install
Oh
Windows 10.
my
Vainglory?
Oh god.
Vainglory. Oh, Vainglory just announced
a collegiate. Yeah, we have
don't
to
know,
do that too.
Yeah, Vainglory is a mobile MOBA. If you guys don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I mean,
really
our
easy.
Korean,
Oh my God.
our Korean overlords are all over it, so clearly it's the next big thing, right?
In 10 years,
Team
when
Secret
StarCraft
has a
comes back.
Vainglory team.
What?
Yeah. Did you know that?
Didn't know that.
Anyways.
Didn't know that. I don't follow the mobile esports scene. Is there an esports scene from other than Vainglory? I don't know. I mean, Clash Royale had Royale had a massive tournament a couple days ago.
I think
Clash of Clans had
Clash of
tournament too,
Clans.
which
Oh yeah.
Team Secret also has a Clash of Clans player.
How do you? What?
I'm following Team Secret on Twitter. I just see it.
Yeah, I play pro Candy Crush, guys.
Oh my God! You're always on your phone. Well, so I would like to. You know what, Tiffany? Would you like to begin origin stories?
Actually, I had like one more quick question before we
sure.
go to the end of this. So if someone, for example, or not for example, if someone wanted to establish a gaming organization in a college that doesn't already have one, do you have any advice for them or tips?
Email Val.
So I guess I'll take that one. Tips. I think, like thinking back at my UT Austin days, it's just to be as welcoming as possible and not having bias towards one game. A lot of times when I interact with chapter leaders, like I wouldn't say all of them. I would say there's a small portion of them that are definitely out there for themselves and the glory, and they don't think about the longevity of their brand, the longevity of the chapter or their club if they're not a Tespa chapter. Sometimes we'll see like gaming clubs that were once really, really strong. They had someone holding the torch, and the moment they graduate, it disappears. Like people aren't thinking about transitions and thinking beyond themselves. So I think that's one really big tip I would have to college organizations is to think about the future beyond yourself.
I would like to add to that. For WGA, we're developing a stewardship program as well. As soon as like the leader graduate, we want someone to already take their spot and keep the brand and keep making sure it grows, because a lot of the times everything just drops. I think what Valerie says is actually is exactly why I want a stewardship program, because we can't have all the eggs in one basket, or whatever the term is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Are
Is
you
that the right
calling this
term?
the stewardess program,
Yeah,
as in like
that's
shadowing?
definitely a good way to put it. With our experience with the clubs on the UW campus, a huge thing is just establishing a strong structure and not undervaluing what people are capable of doing. One challenge that Kevin and I face when establishing WGA and bringing in these people that were like the presidents of these 9 different giant gaming clubs is like they come in with preemptive notions of like the other presidents. They're like, yeah, I'm not sure if I enjoy working with them because yeah, I've heard this and that. And one thing that Kevin and I are trying to break is, hey, you guys are all coming here with like different values and talents, and you're all passionate about gaming. So don't overlook that, and let's just make sure that we all put in our efforts towards progressing the community instead of just trying to outshine each other.
So if I have you guys clear, you guys have a stewardess program. It's basically like shadowing. Am I seeing that correctly?
Correct.
Yeah. I'm not. I just call it stewardship. I don't really like. We don't know what to call it yet. It was in the works. For example, with all of our knowledge and like pulled together, there's no reason why there shouldn't be someone else that can stand up and be a leader and have all the resources available to them and nurtured throughout the next few years as a leader. I don't think that if we can't do that, then I think we failed to making sure there's an outlet, making sure there's something for the next generation coming up. So I mean, that's one thing I learned the most when this is random, but I used to be a b-boy, and a lot of that comes from this philosophy called each
Because you're
one
from
teach
California.
one. I'm from Seattle. I'm from Seattle.
God.
No, I'm from Seattle. We have massive monkeys up here, and they've taught me a lot. And I think that actually holds true between like my working relationship with Brian. I hope schools don't overlook that. I mean, so the thing is, like, the students, they don't have a responsibility or like a moral responsibility, not moral, like no responsibility, no paid gig to make sure there's a stewardship program. I just hope that they see it, and hopefully if Tespa can integrate something like this or push them towards thinking that way, then we can have we don't have to hear more stories of like horror stories of clubs disappearing or like leadership dying, or like, oh my gosh, I've heard like the Twitter and Facebook account of some clubs, the leader left and they don't have access to their existing Twitter and Facebook, things like that. Like they're like all these things that you can avoid if you can develop a stewardship program.
Yeah, and I think I can speak personally for Tespa. We do have like a summer transition where we basically say, hey, are you actually leaving? Are you graduating? Are you becoming an alumni member? And asking for the new information to the new chapters. And we have regional coordinators for each region, so the north, south, east, west. And those people actually collect the information and say, oh, you're new, so this is how Tespa works. This is how you get support. Let me know what tips you need. Like, we kind of like remind everyone that as you're leaving, you take away so much knowledge with you. Like, who's the best person on campus to talk to about flyering? Where do you even check out things? Who do you know on the faculty that will actually help you get money and sign off on things? Yeah, so it's just a huge tip, and everyone overlooks it. I feel like it's not. I wouldn't say like all Tespa chapters are great at this. That's not true, because if it was true, we wouldn't like have to do this over every summer, every year, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's something we're working on too, and it's just something that happens.
That's interesting. Oh, I'm glad you all came on the show. I'm sorry. This is actually probably the best show I've ever actually been a part of. Like, there's a lot of knowledge here, and I'm like, collegiate esports is something that I personally hope grows, because I want to see esports for each game get to the point of football and basketball where people go to the colleges and then they're picked up by like major teams. That would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Wouldn't that
and then I can tell my parents.
We have a while until. I mean, I'm working on some things to get that done, but it's gonna take a while. Like
you're gonna see Brian on like ESPN signing an $11 million first draft.
Oh my god! I mean, his game is hot, so I mean.
Wow.
No, I mean nothing against.
Oh, God. gosh. All right.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, okay.
DM
Alright,
post. My God.
As we go to the end of the show, unfortunately, we have a tradition here on the Campfire where we talk about our gaming origin stories or how we got into gaming, which can be how you got into gaming in general or how you got into your current game of choice, so like League or Dota or whatever. So we're gonna not start with Chris. Let's start with Valerie.
How I got into gaming.
Heroes of the Storm came out 2 years ago. That's how I got into gaming. Just kidding.
No. I started in StarCraft. Yeah, I started StarCraft. I remember I was trying to beat the AI so hard. I read no forums. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just picked up the game and started playing it. And the first time I beat AI on easy, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then I realized how wow. I started watching actual tournaments and oh man, I sucked so hard. When I realized that. And then from then on, I got into League, and now I'm into HOTS. But yeah, that's kind of where I started. And honestly, gaming for me
Can you
started.
guys hear her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I can
Oh,
only hear her
yes.
through Skype.
yeah, she's
Yeah,
muted
Oh,
on
sorry about that.
Discord.
so I started in StarCraft, went to League, and now I'm into Heroes of the Storm. But honestly, I started just a little bit before I met Tespa. I mostly got started through D9 and StarCraft and going to barcrafts and that sort of thing. And then Tespa came along, and then it just exploded, and then I was screwed. My GPA went crazy. Yeah, and so that's what I do today now.
All
Alright.
right, who wants to go next? All right, Chris, what is your origin
What?
story?
No. Okay, whatever.
Second.
I don't even know where to start. The first video game was probably some crap on the SNES or something like Super Mario Brothers.
There's nothing
What do you
wrong
mean
with
The
that.
typical childhood. Well, no, that was okay. Sorry, it wasn't crap. It was beautiful. I love that game. But I did the entire childhood progression, going through all the Nintendo systems, Pokemon, Smash, all that stuff. I eventually stumbled upon Call of Duty, joined some clan or some crap like that. OG FaZe Clan or something. I don't even know, but I forgot what it was even named. But we started entering some dumb online tournaments for money, and I was like, oh, there's gaming competitions. That's a thing. And from there, I started looking up more ways to get into competitions. I found League about the same time. Got really into that. Discovered UT, had a League team and an organization. I was like, whoa, no way, that's so cool. Let me go join. And then the League team went to shit, and then I tried to fix it to moderate success. But yeah, that's where I wound up where I am now, joining the club, taking it over by force, and here we are.
All right, who wants to follow that up?
I'd say Kevin or
Not
Brian.
that much to live up to, but I'm just kidding.
I've-
Alright.
Ooh, wow.
Whoa.
I mean, I've played I've played games since I was 4. I've played Cell Damage on the GameCube. I remember playing things like that, Star Fox and Super Smash Brothers. Just been a gamer ever since. When I was working, when I'm still downtime, you're just playing video games with your friends. I actually hated League of Legends when I first started playing. My freaking friends told me to play Janna my first game. I was a Han player, so I always looked at League as being the easier version, as how League and Dota looks at HOTS as the easier version. So the Han side, we were wow, why would we play this game? It's shitty graphics or whatever. It's a dead game. But then they kept begging me to play, and then they told me, I'm like, what do I pick? And they told me to pick Janna. So I didn't know that you could cast Q again on Janna. So I just camped the side brush and then just because we're all playing, we're level 3, just I'm just throwing max range tornadoes that do more damage if you hold it longer, and then I kept maxing Q, and I remember going 6-0 playing Janna. It's not impressive, but I mean, I got me kicking ass was one of the reasons why I want to keep playing, because I was oh, it's fun. And eventually I played enough to get to be Diamond 1, and then started my own challenger team.
Holy shit, that was
We
a leap.
were, yeah, it was a big
I just
leap.
started, and then I was Diamond 1.
I played Jan on 2. I played
You're
Jan
right,
on 2. I
this
was
guy.
All right, no, then I mained Poke Nidalee. You guys remember like Nidalee season 2 and 3 was just
that
like
was awful.
Yeah.
I hated that.
I watched like the Bishu videos and then just like copied him and just played season 2 and then every season I tried climbing and eventually you get to Diamond 1 and I started my own ranked team. We got to Challenger ranked 18 in NA. We were trying to go for the top 10 spot, but we didn't make it. And then I met Washington Esports from there.
That's pretty
And
cool.
here I am.
The
on
more you know.
TV.
I want a rainbow.
All right.
Next
Yeah.
Last
episode,
but not
rainbows.
least, have at it.
I guess I'll just start with competitive stuff. When I was about 11 or 12 years old, simultaneously, I was a level 128 PKer on RuneScape.
Oh my god, I was
One
that
of
too.
those.
And I was practicing with Straight Rippin' on Halo 3. I couldn't actually play at the MLG events because I wasn't 16 years old. But they still let me into their practice sessions to help out their team with scrims. From there, I played Modern Warfare 2 on game battles for a few seasons. I think we won 4 seasons of 4v4 Search and Destroy before I moved on to StarCraft. Didn't last long there. I mainly just played custom games, where I played a game called Sodus, which is Storm of the Imperial Sanctum. Got really integrated in the community there. They all moved to League, so I moved with them. Got to Challenger in League by Season 3, which I was looking to pursue a pro career, potentially, but decided to pursue college instead. I actually was messaged by the manager of the current League of Legends team, or at the time, the current League of Legends team manager at the University of Washington. They're trying to make sure I went to UW to play top lane. Team ended up not doing too well and not having good structure, so similar to Chris, we reformatted the structure with Washington Esports, and we've had some pretty successful teams now with League, HOTS, and a lot more games in the future.
All right.
Wow,
Nice.
that's awesome.
So this is unfortunately the end of this week's Campfire.
Yeah.
Thank you. Huge thank you to Kevin, Valerie, Brian, and Chris for joining us this week. And I have a little hint for next week's topic, which I haven't been able to do in a while, and it may have to do with Smash and the summit. So definitely tune in next week if you're interested in that. 8 p.m. as usual. Once again, thanks to all of our guests for coming on today, and have a great night. All.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Oh, wait, no, I'm terrible. I forgot.
Whoa.
You guys all get shout outs. Okay, before we go, do any of you have any shout outs you'd like to give?
Hey, everybody,
Yeah.
if you already don't know, I'm the marketing director for a website called womp.us. Look into womp.us. If you want to get into the site, you can use my username, Malic3, or the word Reddit to get into the site. We're currently in private beta. We launch CSGO next. I'm not going to say anything. And League of Legends is available. Street Fighter 5 is available. CSGO gets launched very soon. Dota 2 is going to be launched very soon as well. CSGO is going to be flipping awesome. But yeah, it's going to be cool. Look it up.
Anyone else? Have
Shout
any
out
shout
to
outs?
Tespa, of course. If you're interested in joining a collegiate community that is game agnostic and welcomes all level of gamers, look at Tespa.org. And we have a really cool video that we recently shot at UT Austin.
Oh,
So
dear Lord.
if you want to see Tiffany actually in one of the clips talking about how it's so much better gaming with friends, you should go look at it.
Did you memorize it?
That was
Yeah.
pretty
that
close.
video
It was pretty
like, a
close.
lot.
Chris
It's a
was
really
in
good
it.
video.
Chris was in it.
Yeah,
also.
yeah. Way to mention that I am in that, by the way.
He's
Thank
actually
you.
in it more than I am, so
Really?
yeah.
Oh.
Anyways, anyone
Apparently,
else?
let's crop those part out. Oops.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's a fair thing to do. I understand. Anyways, anyone else have any shout outs they'd like to give? Anything.
All right, I'll give a
Shout out to your mom.
to the esports teams at the University of Washington and the growing WGA, and of course to Kebunbun.
Aww.
How nice.
I guess I'll do the same. UT's esports teams as well. Maybe we'll do a little better in the future.
No, shout out to like all the collegiate students out there trying to make it into the esports scene. I know it's tough. I think you guys just hang in there. I'm available on Twitter at Kebunbun. I know Brian is also on Twitter. We're all open to help out, like take any questions you guys have. If you can also reach out to Valerie as well, but she might bite, troll you a little bit. But she means well. I mean, Tespa is awesome. So shout out to Tespa for providing a lot of the network and all the opportunities that we have at University of Washington. Just feel like we're not isolated up there. So thank you.
Also, I guess my last shout out is if you're going to be at PAX East, we're having a meetup. So if you want to search it up, it's PAX East, Tespa PAX East Meetup 2016. And it's going to be free food, so come say hi.
Okay, well, I have a shout out because if any of you guys are going to be at DreamHack Austin, you can meet at least 4 of the 6 of us. So come find us. Anyways, thanks again for everyone for coming on. And like I said, next week's show might have something to do with the Smash Summit coming up. So definitely tune in. And good night, everyone, for real this time. Bye.
Bye.